when I got my diagnosis, when it came to the diet that I have to eat under, she went out and she got stuff to make sure that we could eat that way, and she would eat those things with me. And
I love that.
I think that those things were really important.
Hello and welcome back to another week of Calling in Sick. I'm your host, Alex Wildeson. I am so excited for this week's episode, y'all. I got the pleasure of sitting down with Love is Blind Season 4, Kwame Appiah, and he shared his story with navigating symptoms to diagnosis with ulcerative colitis. And two super interesting themes kind of percolated up during our conversation. One had to do with hope and grittiness, and where do you get that positive attitude to keep going during the hard parts. And they really, really try you, and we get honest and raw about that. The second part that I think will really resonate is the impact chronic illness has in how we navigate relationships and how that's different perhaps between women and men. So tune in to hear all of that, and also stay till the very end if you want Kwame's top 5 favorite TV shows right now. His list is excellent, diverse taste in television. I literally am going to watch every single one that he suggested if I haven't watched them yet, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear about them. But before we dive in, quick little life update. While Kwame and I were talking about how he had ignored a couple symptoms during the last 6 months that led up to his ultimate diagnosis, I was sitting in my chair nodding my head, realizing that I have been doing that with my joint pain and my achiness, and I don't know if that means I need to do IVIG every 4 weeks instead of every 6. If it means I need to be adding Cellcept, but what I do know is I need to face the music. It seems that I am unable to taper any of my anti-inflammatories, be that steroids or pain medication, any bit more. And if I want to get off of those things and be on a steroid-sparing agent and not destroy my kidneys, I might need to make some adjustments and tweaks. So I'm thankful for this episode for giving me the blunt awareness that your girl might need to make some changes. I am so achy today, and I have been for a few days. Low-grade fevers. My joints feel like they are glued together. Every time I move, I'm like crunching through Gorilla Glue just to move. And if you can't tell, if you're listening to this episode, you won't be able to tell because you're listening, not watching. But anyway, if you can't tell, I got a spray tan, so your girl has some fake energy today. I feel like I'm on a boost of steroids. I have so much energy and like just joy. Spray tans give me joy. I think that might be my investment of this year for my treat myself, throwing everything else out. No more sweatsuits, no more manicures or pedicures, only spray tans. I can hear Cooper just laughing in my head. The reality of me not treating myself with a sweatsuit is minimal, if not zero. But I think I will make the spray tan thing a little bit more regular. Just if you look good, you feel good, you are good. So here's to that. And speaking of feel good, hear good, and speaking of feel good, blah, blah, blah things, let's talk about my Alex picks of the week. No, rewind. Quick housekeeping because I'm going to forget it otherwise. Please like, follow, subscribe if you have not already. Send it to a friend, send it to a Facebook support group, or happy listening. I love you either way. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here and being a part of this Calling in Sick community. Now back to what I was saying before, my picks of the week. I have more than 2 this week. I couldn't pick because I have so many fun things that I found for you guys. First is the Broc shot. The Broc shot is amazing. It's quite truly designed to complete your wellness needs. And why I love it is because it has helped me feel more regular with my digestive issues, less bloated. I have seen some improvement in my fatigue and better sleep, clearer skin, and a little bit better on the brain fog too. I'm not saying that that is all coming from Broc shot, but that's definitely something that is newer to my routine, and I think has been a part of the symptom improvement I've been experiencing. So if you haven't looked into it yet, take a look at Broc shot. It targets inflammation, detoxification, and gut health. And if you have IBS or bloating or on the low FODMAP diet, this is particularly of interest for y'all because the broccoli seeds have all of those benefits without the digestive distress that eating full-on fiber or like a piece of broccoli can do to your system. So check it out. Do your own investigation, of course, but if this sounds interesting to you, there's a link in the description below and a discount code for you guys to try it out. And my second pick of the day is the Loftie alarm clock. You guys have heard me talk about Loftie before. I have their nighttime lamp. It lowers the light over the course of 9 minutes and raises the light over the course of 9 minutes to perfectly sync with your ideal wake. Now, if you're anything like me and you've become a little bit more aware of there could be some negative side effects of having electronics right around your head while you're sleeping, but you really struggle with putting your phone in a different room because you have the justification of, that's my alarm clock, this is probably for you. So the Loftie alarm clock is like an old-fashioned, old-school alarm clock, but what makes it different, cool, and amazing, in my opinion, is that it has all this great tech that make it a biohacking alarm clock, I guess. It has, like I mentioned, there's 2 phases for both wake up and nighttime, and there's a built-in sound machine. So if you are looking to upgrade your sleep routine, check out the Loftie alarm clock. It is amazing. Link in the description, discount code in the description. And that brings me to a very exciting thing. If you are listening to this podcast, then you get to know about it first. I'm having a giveaway this week, and Loftie and Broc, and a couple that I'll be announcing next week on my IG, have donated some products to give away the ultimate lifestyle changes self-care wellness giveaway. So if you'd like to participate, go to my Instagram at Alexandra Wildison or at Calling In Sick Pod to see all of the details for entering there. And I can't wait any longer, so let's just dive into this interview. Kwame is such a kind soul, and I'm so grateful that he shared his story and his journey with us in the Calling In Sick community. So thanks for calling in sick with me again. I love you guys and happy listening. All right, and welcome back to another week of Calling In Sick. I have an amazing guest with me today. I am so excited. Hi, Kwame.
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's a bit of an overcast day here in Seattle, but we're expecting a little bit more sunshine later on in the week, so all positives.
I love it. And you guys have like one of the best springs and summer, I think, on the entire planet. That Pacific Northwest life is it's pretty good, but you got to wrestle through the rainy days sometimes.
Yeah, very true. I tell people this all the time. I think for 4 months out of the year, the Pacific Northwest as a whole, but I mean, I could even single out specifically Seattle, I think is the best place on earth.
I'm right there with you. I think, with enough convincing, it could even just be that sentence. I'm ready to pack up my bags and move. I love Seattle so much. It's excellent.
Yeah, it's really dope. I love this place.
So when did you move to Seattle from Portland?
So I think that would be May 8th, 2022, I think was like the official date, because I got married on May 6th. And we woke up the next day, kind of hung out because my brother was here. And then the next morning just I flew down to Portland, grabbed all my stuff, threw it in a U-Haul, and then drove back. And that was it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That move-in day with your now wife and when I did it with my husband. Yeah. It's a like really special day that will forever be ingrained in my brain. Like what we ate during that day, the music we listened to, just, I don't know, it's very, very nostalgic.
Yeah, it's a big moment. I mean, there's a whole lot going on, and I think obviously due to our circumstance, things moved a lot faster.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was definitely one of those days where a lot of decisions had to be made. So it's definitely a pivotal moment in our relationship.
Absolutely. And I actually want to dive into that later on in our show and just kind of chat through how you and Chelsea have navigated your health together. You know, because you guys met fast, got married fast, then how has that been? Because that's like a huge roller coaster right when you're first married. Most people don't expect something like that. Yeah. And I think it really like puts your relationship to the test. But as I've been able to see and what you've shared with me, you guys have navigated it with such grace and gratitude towards one another. It's just been really, really beautiful. So excited to dive into that in this episode.
Yeah, me too. I appreciate that.
But before we do, I think a brief intro is needed. So do you mind just sharing a little bit about who you are, and then we can get into the really fun stuff, your health.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, my name is Kwame Appiah. I just turned 35 yesterday. That was
Happy
crazy.
birthday! Oh my God.
So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, I mean, some of you may know me from a show called Love is Blind. I was very fortunate to be part of the season 4 cast, which took place in Seattle. But apart from that, I grew up in Ghana, came to the States at the age of 8, navigated through living on the East Coast for quite some time. Went through, got my degree, left to Europe, came back, lived in DC. And throughout that time, I built a life in tech and in the software space. And that's what brought me over to Portland. So, I guess my long story short is that, I'm an immigrant who, has been really fortunate to navigate down really awesome paths and, got me through university, through school. I got to travel around Europe a little bit and play soccer professionally, and then came back to the States to work in tech. And that's what brought me to the Pacific Northwest.
That's a really incredible story, and I have about a billion questions I'd love to dive into on all of those different paths that you've been on. One thing that really pops out to me is that you're someone that just dives in to the deep end, do it scared, do it excited. How do you think all of those different chapters in your life leading up to this health moment happening gave you the mental space and attitude that you do have and you navigated your health with?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me mindset-wise getting into this was how grateful I am for any and everything that comes down my way, whether it's good or bad. I think that in life, there aren't really losses. There's either wins or lessons.
Amen to that.
And so over the past, few months, and specifically within that little section of time when I was going through this, I kept thinking to myself about how grateful I am that everything else that's happened to me has brought me here, Yeah. And so I think that was important. The reinforcement that everything happens for a reason, and if you're meant to get through it, you're meant to get through it. That life is planned for us to a certain degree. And obviously we have a lot of control over a lot of things, but ultimately the things that we have done, the things that we have said, the moves that we have made have brought us to this moment. And so we're going to be as ready for it as we possibly can be.
Yep.
And so
you're never going to be more ready than you are in that moment.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say probably helped me best with the mental state.
And maybe we can dive into that now. When you did first start having symptoms, I think having a positive attitude, I share that made me kind of ignore symptoms originally, and I just kept chalking it up to I'm just feeling kind of crummy today, on to the next, which unfortunately did me so dirty, and it sounds like it did you dirty too. So let's chat about that, from starting to have symptoms, ignoring them, and what was that final moment of, oh, okay, I gotta actually take this a little bit more seriously?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've lived a very fortunately healthy life for most of my life. And I think some of that was just due to, growing up, we weren't very well off. And so I didn't have health insurance growing up. And so most of the issues that I had just kind of worked themselves out at some point. It's when you're sick and you're feeling bad, or, something's aching, you're at the end of the day, it's going to go away at some point, whether it be a day or a week or maybe a month. True. But I can't afford to do anything about it, right? And so the unfortunate, catalyst of U.S. healthcare, we won't get too deep into that stuff. But
that's for a late night chat.
It's a whole nother conversation. But because of that, I've kind of just gotten accustomed to it, And so when I first started feeling not so great, I think I had just gotten back from London. I had taken a work trip, and during that work trip, I just felt I was more tired than usual, but I said, whatever. And then kind of the second phase of things came about where my body, and specifically my stomach, started acting a little funnier. And I think the main thing about any time that I've had any issues with my body, like I said, I feel like they work themselves out. And the problem with that happening is you get comfortable thinking that this next stage of it is maybe just like a stage closer to remission or feeling better or whatever the case.
Totally.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You're like, okay, cool. Well, something else hurts. That means I must be, just getting on the back end of this whole thing. So, yeah, it then, started with the stomach a little bit, then transitioned over to the rest of the body. So, you start with a bit of exhaustion, then, some different stomach issues, and then
the lovely ones.
Yeah.
That are like so fun when you're newly married to be like, great, can't wait to share a bathroom now.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, a lot of interesting things, but ultimately it led to this point where I was feeling just really, really impacted on my day to day.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, something's a little bit off for sure. A lot more than just a little bit. And I will admit, like, Chelsea's definitely, she's the person who's always like, hey, go see a doctor, And so she definitely like pushed and pushed and pushed, and eventually I did. But yeah, I think that for me, I didn't put enough, I would say, attention or urgency into going. And I think that was a big component of kind of how it just like slowly matriculated from this and that to the next. But yeah, the process was interesting, man. It felt like things just kept happening, and I just kept hoping that stage was the final stage of things.
Yeah.
And it just kept getting worse and worse. And so that's what was difficult about going through this. Yeah.
Do you think being an athlete for a little bit too kind of moved you through that, almost like an injury mindset of like, this can be acute and I can get over the hump of this and then it'll be okay?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the funny part about saying that is that, my soccer career ended because of a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny that I kind of, I attributed the same mindset to what was going on, but once again, it came back to just like my standard for my life and my health. I just always thought things were going to work themselves out. When I got my career-ending injury, I thought to myself, hey, like, I'm at the cusp of signing a really big contract, this next big part of my life. Many incredible things are about to happen. Play through the pain and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when it came to the way that I felt about this, I just kept thinking, hey, live through the pain and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. It's like this delusional self-confidence in health. Mm-hmm. And I've looked back at times in my life where I've had that of, it'll resolve. I can keep going. I can keep pushing. And it's served me really well at times, because I think it's what probably gives us a foundation of having a good attitude of hope in dealing with chronic illness. But it does lead us also down these kind of, oh shit, roads of I might have fucked up on this one a little bit.
Yeah.
So you go and see a doctor. You had a relatively fast process of kind of going in, getting diagnosed, and starting treatment. Can you walk us through what that was like?
Yeah, I think, so I started in urgent care. I went to urgent care.
But so many people do. I'm laughing, but so many people do, because why not?
Yeah, and I think another thing that I should mention as well is I don't have a primary care doctor. I'm actually still on the way to getting there. I don't, because so I made an appointment to get a primary care doctor in October, right? The next appointment wasn't till April.
Jesus.
Like that's, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Once again, yeah, I know.
Which
so
is
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
I get it for a specialist sometimes that there can be a relatively long wait list, but for a primary care doctor, that just feels unacceptable.
It's wild, right? It just feels like healthcare is almost inaccessible on so many degrees here.
And then people are forced to go to an urgent care or an emergency room where there's no like streamlined care, where someone really knows your story, your family history, all the symptoms that you've been developing, and has this relationship with you. It's like getting passed around, and each of those people have different opinions and ideas of what could possibly be going on with you. It makes it really hard, I think, to find an answer. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. And so, yeah, I mean, that's how it all started. Urgent care. Hey, I'm not feeling good. Like, I need some help here. So there, I think we did some minor blood work. And just got a sense of what my symptoms were. And I got referred to
to a specialist
Mm-hmm.
who, I was really fortunate. I think the timeline for me actually going through the process was expedited extremely, and I don't know if they thought that they knew that there was something that I needed to know.
Yeah.
And if that is, if that is the case, great. But also, like, I wish it wasn't necessary to go to that extent for you to be able to get expedited healthcare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was like over the course of maybe like a week and a half where I went to urgent care, got referred, and then I went to the next appointment, I think 2 or 3 days later.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. It was actually pretty quick. Right. Especially considering that's a specialist.
Yes. That's really quick. But also your diagnostics were starting to show something that could be really, really scary and needed to be taken so seriously. And
exactly.
You're right. Like, unfortunately, autoimmune diseases most often aren't categorized as being so severe that like it needs immediate attention, but something like cancer does.
Exactly. Right.
Were you reading between the lines when that was happening?
Yeah. I think that made it a very scary time because, like, knowing that I had to reach out to get a primary care doctor and that was going to take 6 months, I'm like, why is it all of a sudden somebody can see me in 2 days? You know what I'm saying?
Don't love that.
Yeah.
Like, love it, but don't love that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was the crazy thing about it. But, blessed that it happened the way that it did because I think 2 or 3 days, I can't really exactly put my finger on whether it was 2 or 3. But after going to her, we ran some more blood work, had some conversations, talked about the habits, the things that were going on. And then she referred me to get a colonoscopy. Right. And I remember in the initial conversation about getting the colonoscopy, they were like, oh, it's going to be a month out. Right. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't, it's not great, but whatever.
I'll sit with that anxiety for a whole next month. Thank you.
Yeah. And then we had the conversation, I think somewhere in between the starting of the conversation to booking the date. They were like, yeah, we've got one in like 4 days. I'm like, what?
Oh my goodness. Like, that's not even enough time to do all the things that they have on the laundry list of like, don't eat this food for a week.
Yeah, it was crazy. But, I think we went through that kind of like that conversation of like, this is what you have to do now. And so I think I was shocked because I always thought when I heard colonoscopy, because I've always wanted to get a colonoscopy because I told you, I think I've had minor GI issues throughout my life.
Yes. Right.
But they've been so minor that like they go away in a week or so. And then I just kind of like, but I think when I started to hit, early adulthood, I started thinking about what it could be and realized that, hey, like I should probably get a colonoscopy and get myself checked out. And so I'd been thinking about it for a long time. And so I knew that there was a laundry list of things that you had to do. And so when I heard that it could be 3 or 4 or 5, 3 or 4 days, maybe 5 days, whatever it was, my first inkling was, one, like they must think something's really wrong. Yeah. And then 2, will I be prepared for this?
Yeah.
And so, everything did go well. I left right from that appointment to a Safeway, went over to the pharmacy and grabbed everything that I needed to. And so, I think mine was like a 2 to 3 day process.
Wow.
Yeah. Where it's just like, I was basically just drinking this liquid.
Oh my gosh. It's the worst prep ever.
It's literally the worst. Yeah. I will say, there was one thing that the first thing that you drink, it's like this little, I think the word starts with the
magnesium citrate.
Yeah.
I got you. I just had a colonoscopy. Can you tell?
So started out with that and then went over to, some other stuff. And it was just like, man, it was just like cleansing. I remember the day of, or maybe it was the day before when you literally could not eat anything.
Yeah. It was awful. Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. And I kept thinking to myself, because during that time I was having so much stomach pain that in order to be able to sleep, I needed to take, either an anti-inflammatory or
Yeah.
Tylenol or whatever the case may be. And in order usually for me, before I take those, I eat.
Of course.
Yeah. Right. And so
Otherwise your stomach's going to hurt so much worse.
exactly. And so you're just going back and forth with this thing of, wow, I have like 48 hours here where I'm going to have to be in this pain.
Like actually
what I'm
just
saying?
suffering and having
Yeah.
to grit through it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I will say the cleanse that I did definitely helped me out. I do think
Good.
it kind of like flushed out my body. And, I have my sort of possible thoughts. And I mean, I guess I'll share them.
Yeah, please.
Right. And this is just my own assumption. And I did some research on it as well. And I could be completely wrong. But in case anybody's going through this and it could be a possibility, I just want them to consider it as something.
Absolutely. We're all snowflakes in our own health, but I think there's so many through lines that like always down to share what works for you or what you found.
Yeah. So I drink, oh my gosh, I drink kind of like a high pH water. I forget what the actual term is. My goodness. I'll remember it at some point.
Is it the water bottle Essentia?
So I've always drank Essentias and things like that. Yes. And so, yeah, I mean, essentially I drink, I'll Google it, but I drink high pH water, always have, and it's been fine. And then we got a high pH water machine. And I think for me, since I've always had kind of flare-ups throughout my life that were minimal, I think the water that I was drinking, what I read or what I heard or what I saw, because, we're all kind of our own little doctors during this period of time, was that due to the kind of like balance of your stomach acids, and due to it being from the machine, your body's ability to kind of like digest it is a bit different from when it's, alkaline. That's it, alkaline water. So the ability for it to kind of digest it is different from when it's in the bottles.
That's interesting. Oh, actually, you know what? I have read about this. Yes. Because it depletes the acidity, or I'm going to totally mess up with the actual science, but it depletes something.
Yeah.
And then your body is not getting the actual like benefits of that specific type of water.
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? And so I'd always drank it from the bottle. And I think when I switched over to the machine, my body just wasn't used to it.
Got it.
And so it changed kind of like the basis of the stomach acid. And all of a sudden, I think like my body just kind of went into a state of being upset with me.
Totally. I call those autoimmune meltdowns, when it's like all of a sudden you've done something that shocked the system, or maybe something's happened to you. I hate saying like we did it to ourselves, but sometimes maybe we do. But it causes that whole like crazy, reaction, like full body reaction to everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think, I definitely don't want to speak for everyone. I want everyone to be mindful of their own medical journey. But what I feel like happened with me was that I had to be more conscious of the fact that I was now drinking alkaline water from a machine, which the, acidity levels and the alkaline levels were completely different. And so my body reacted to it in a completely unintended way, because alkaline water is supposed to be really good for your body. But in my situation, I did stop drinking. I did stop drinking it, and stopped drinking it especially from the in-house like tap that we had for it. My wife still drinks it. It does her body great, but I think due to my body composition, it just didn't work out.
Good for you to do the science and figure that out. Like if you can do one little small change to make yourself feel a lot better, worth it.
Exactly. Right. And so ultimately, that's kind of how I figured out was going to be, what I had to kind of just change it within my system and my body. But ultimately, like throughout the process, like to, long story short, or long story long, I guess, went through all of that, went through the cleansing, was able to go get the colonoscopy, woke back. I watched the colonoscopy. Those things are crazy.
They're wild.
The way you like fall asleep. I'd never been put under before.
What a first experience.
What a first experience. I'm like talking to the doctor. He's a super nice guy. We're talking about soccer and stuff. And I'm like halfway through a sentence, and then next thing you know, I'm in a different room.
Yep. Out like a light. It's crazy.
It's
I don't know about
crazy.
you, but I try to fight it because I get really
Yeah.
scared that I'm going to wake up during anesthesia.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm chatting with them, really trying to make sure that they're really getting me under.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the entire process was really like, it worked out really well, especially the timing, thinking about the fact that I was able to get from, point A to Z in the time frame that I was able to.
Yeah.
Was able to get my colonoscopy. Now do have a GI doctor at least, so I have a specialist that I have access to and can talk to, and going through it and then coming out of it and realizing it wasn't cancer was like one of the biggest reliefs I've ever had. And they did give me a little bit of a scare because, right, you think about the entire process leading up to it, and they're acting a bit weary and they're expediting all of my appointments. And then when I asked the doctor, I'm like, hey, like, can I have my news? My wife, Chelsea, wasn't in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, yeah, let's just wait for your wife. And I'm like, that's
I
not
don't-
what I wanted to.
Also, don't love that.
Yeah. What I'm saying?
Thanks for being inclusive, but like, I need to know right now, actually.
Yeah, yeah, like 100%. You can 100% repeat it again when she
Yep.
gets here.
Yep.
Yeah. But then yeah, we waited for another 10-15 minutes, and then she came over, and yeah, he showed us the chart, said we don't think it doesn't seem like anything's cancerous, which is great. And obviously that was a massive relief to me.
Yeah. They both could like breathe a little bit easier.
Yes, 100%. And then, yeah, from there, obviously went through the other parts of it, but I'll cut my ramble for now because I've been talking a lot. But,
No, it's a really,
yeah.
I'm so intrigued to hear your story, because everyone's diagnostic process is so different.
Mm-hmm.
And when you woke up and got the news that it wasn't cancer, did they also tell you that it was ulcerative colitis, or was there more of a journey to go on that point?
So the like knowledge that I'd gotten up until that point had led me to, it could be these things.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and so that was the big positive, was that I knew that if it wasn't this, it could be that. And I think, in getting the diagnosis for UC, I knew all of the things that I'd have to do prior to, being diagnosed. Yeah, so it didn't feel like this whole like wake up, hear about this thing, and then have to do research on it. I spent so much time looking up all the things that it could be that I thought, all right, I'm a little bit prepared for this conversation,
Did doing that research give you anxieties about like, what if it's this, or because that cancer was on the table, was it kind of like, if it's not that, even if it's a chronic illness for the rest of my life, like, I think I can do okay with this?
Yeah, you know what? I think one moment that I haven't mentioned to a lot of people about this journey was that there was one night when, because part of this whole process, part of this sickness, part of this illness, if you're at the depths of it, you are at the very end of it, and you're feeling it to its like highest level of inflammation. The symptoms are pretty unbearable, right? And one of those is having extreme fevers just about every night. I woke up with night sweats consistently.
Yeah.
And so about 3 weeks into having the consistency of fevers, I woke up one night and I had to go use the bathroom. And at this point in time, I was using the bathroom about 3 times in the evening, every evening.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So from literally trying to lay my head down to go to sleep until the next morning, I'd use the bathroom 3 times. I was using the bathroom about 6 to 7 times per day.
Jeez, I'm so sorry. That is.
It was.
It's hard to
intense.
just have a normal life with a chronic illness, but when symptoms are active like that and physically pull you out of whatever you are doing, it can be debilitating for how you can live.
For sure. And I mean, for better or for worse, it was during the holiday times.
Mm-hmm.
On the positive side, maybe we weren't doing too much traveling and being out too often. But on the negative side, when it came to holiday, parties and family gatherings, I was very cautious of things. As soon as I would walk into a building, I'd like look for where's the bathroom to make sure I knew exactly where it was.
Yep.
Yeah, but to sum it up, and to kind of get to the point of this story was I woke up one night while I was at the height of this off of a fever, and I'm like in the bathroom and I'm thinking to myself, I literally said this to myself, like, well, like I've had a good life, you know, if this is it, it is what it is. Yeah. I can't be upset. I've been way more fortunate than a lot of people. And so if it's my time, then it's my time. You know, that's
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That feeling of peace with death at a really young age, I think is one of the most bizarre things that is a shared experience amongst the chronic illness community, where you have this moment truly like with God or with the universe where you're kind of like surrendering whatever might happen and just saying like, actually it's gonna be okay, because I'm pretty sure this is as shitty as it can possibly get, and like hopefully this is either gonna be like we figure it out, or if this is the end, then like here's my gratitude with it. And it's a really weird state of mind, and I think for people that aren't chronically ill and they hear that, they're like, what the fuck? Like, you're 30 years old. Why are you giving up on life right now? Like, what are you doing? But the reality of it all is, I think, surrendering that control. It is a control thing. Surrendering that control gives us this distance almost from the disease where it's not so consuming to our mental health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, weird. I can agree with that. And I think there's a component of a chronic illness that is at the height of its effectiveness that makes you think like, honestly, I don't think I could live like this all the time. So yeah, you know, because I can imagine, if I'm just being honest with you, like at the peak of this, if I had to choose between living like that every single day for the rest of my life or just leaving in peace, I'd leave in peace.
I've been there too. I feel you so deeply. Because honestly, like the depths of those symptoms, you can't even put it into words, I think. Yeah. Like the level of pain that you actually experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband and I talk about it often. Like I broke my thumb a couple of weeks ago and didn't even think anything of it, because nothing, like everything pales in comparison to like the symptoms and the suffering that you really go through, like during the depths of chronic illness and the flare-ups.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, at the height of it, all the other symptoms that were going on, I think the worst thing that was going on was kind of this like pain right in this little area, right below my chest, and you know, right in the center of my stomach at the top. It literally just felt like someone was sticking a knife in there and just turning it over and over.
Oh my God.
And you could just, and it was even worse whenever I tried to sleep.
Of course.
Yeah, right? And so
because you're not thinking about anything else. So exactly. Here's something to think about.
Exactly. You know, so it's like, it's almost as if all day you're like, I can't wait to sleep to not feel this way. Yes. And then when you try to sleep is when you're feeling it the worst. So yeah, it's long story short.
Catch-22, you know?
Yeah.
As is so many different things with being chronically ill. I'm so sorry that you've had to endure those symptoms. I sit in that depth and that hurt with you. It sucks, and I'm sorry that it's something that's an experience in our lives. But you were newly married, so when you're having these like episodes at night or like in a ton of pain, how did you interact with Chelsea? How did she deal with it? I know like I had to create code words with my husband Cooper and be like, look, this isn't like go to the emergency pad, but like I'm at a 10 in pain right now, and I do need you to be aware of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a bit of a tough time in certain areas, but I think it makes sense also within our experiment, considering like I don't think people really digest what Love is Blind is enough to consider that, you know, we've been, because, you know, we were married for a year and people were like, have kids. And it's like, I don't think people realize that we've been married for a year, but we've also only known each other for a year.
True.
Right. Yeah. And so at the height of this, you know, we were at 2 years, you know, a bit over 2 years. And, you know, there was still a lot to learn about each other. Right. And so it became a matter of like, how can we make sure that we effectively communicate in the right way? Chelsea's someone who is, her love languages are like, physical touch and quality time, which are two components that are very difficult to give during this time.
Yes.
Because like for me, I like don't want to be touched when I'm going through this stuff.
Likewise. I'm like, put a pillow wall in between me and my husband. Don't even breathe on me.
Exactly. So it's tough. I think relationship wise, there are some compromises that have to be made, some understandings. And, I think we went through some tougher moments, but ultimately, I will say like Chelsea's someone who is very, very, aware of, health related things and is very understanding. Just like in general, I think, we may have our highs, may have our lows, but I think her as a human being, she does her absolute best to try to be compassionate of situations, and so I think that was really, really important for us, for when I got my diagnosis, when it came to the, diet that I have to eat under, she went out and she got stuff to make sure that we could eat that way, and she would eat those things with me. And
I love that.
Yeah. I think that those things were really important. I think sleep wise, it was really tough because,
you weren't sleeping.
I wasn't sleeping, and she works at a school, and so working at a school, you have to be up at a certain hour, and then you're dealing with kids for all of your day. And so it was tough where sometimes I think over the course of like 2 to 3 weeks, I'd wake up every single night and go sleep in a different room.
Yeah.
And so
you're trying to
it was
protect your partner's own health.
Exactly.
Because they can't pour out of their cup if theirs is empty. So like you have to be aware of that as a chronic illness patient. So kudos to you for figuring that out actually really quickly. I think a lot of people don't realize that. And then there's like a blow up.
Yeah. So it worked out there. I think it was a bit difficult, and we were still getting to know each other a lot, which is something that I want people to understand, that it is difficult in these times. But, I think that my partner was really aware of things and really did her best to try to help me out. And, I think like any dynamic of a relationship, there's, someone who leans into things a lot. And so she's just like, take this medicine, make sure this is okay, and do that and do that. And I think for me, I'm like, okay. But ultimately, those things were helpful for me. So, I think actually a big positive about our dynamic is she is someone who pushed me to go do these things as fast as I possibly could. And, me being someone who wasn't really leaning into it as much or being ready to run through those things or go through those things, I think I needed that bit of encouragement, and so, overall it was a positive. And then I think in certain aspects of it, there were adjustments, and I think we made those accordingly.
Yeah. And it sounds like you and her both have been able to like cultivate and derive strength from one another when that feels too heavy for each of us individually. And when I think about like what defines a good caregiver and a good partner, it's somebody that can do that, that's willing to share the load. And whether that's, doing the diet together and researching fun recipes that you can do on a low FODMAP diet, or, having the grace to say, I haven't been sleeping in 3 weeks. I'm going to go sleep in this bed. It's nothing to do with you. I love you, but I'm going to go take care of me so you can take care of you. It's that like shared compassion, shared grit, and shared strength that like really, that's like I think that's the recipe. Yeah,
I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's a lot of making decisions together and being okay sometimes if those decisions lean heavily on one side as opposed to the other,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So speaking of making decisions together medically, how, when the doctors did come to you and say, okay, you've got UC, here are your options, some of these medications in the chronic illness world impact fertility or XYZ in life. So how did you guys have those conversations and navigate those kind of discussions?
Yeah, I think lucky for us, it wasn't such a difficult decision-making process because with my GI, we kind of went through iterations of medication, right?
Okay.
It was like, okay, these are the 3 options.
Yes.
we want to start on the least invasive, see how you're feeling in a couple weeks, and then kind of dial it up if we need to or not. And so the one that I did get on, which is in the living room right now, it starts with an M. I think it's like mesalamine or something like that. It was take 4 of these a day It's not, there's a few things that are going to happen here, but it's not going to be these very, very deep cut, byproducts or, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, the side effects that are maybe just as scary as the actual diagnosis.
Exactly, and so, yeah, the side effects of this weren't that crazy. It was just like, this is the most minimal thing that you could possibly do. Good. And that's why there's 4 pills a day. So you can wind it all the way down to 1 pill if you actually need to, right? And so that was the great part. But, I was on it for about a week, still feeling like I needed something extra. And so got on a different steroid.
Oh. Let's chat steroids.
Yeah, was on that steroid for, I think, a month or 2.
You're on prednisone?
Yeah. Yep, exactly that, actually.
It's like literally a magic pill, but also a devil's tic tac. I don't know about you. Does it make you a psychopath? I have a different personality, I'm pretty sure, when I'm on prednisone.
So that is funny. I did read that you are definitely a lot more agitated.
Yes. And hungry.
And hungry. Oh, my goodness.
At 1 a.m, who am I, a college kid? I never do that. But now I do.
Yeah. 100%. I was eating, man. I remember I still I eat a lot of Uncrustables, but
I literally just had my fake PB&J. I'm allergic to peanut, so I have soybean and J, but I just had one.
Yeah, I love Uncrustables during that time. So I think peanut butter and bread were 2 ingredients that I could eat a lot of.
Yes.
And so that was really helpful for me. And so I went through a lot of peanut butter and bread during that time. Like, if I was ever hungry at night, I'd literally just go make a peanut butter sandwich and just eat it. Yeah. And it made life so much easier because, not having to deal with all the complications and having so many resources very specific to a diet that didn't have, any easy to make stuff on it.
No.
Man, peanut butter and bread saved my life. So, yeah, I ate a ton. And I think coming out of that, it was really positive. I gained a lot of weight, which was great because during that time at peak, I lost about 20 something pounds.
Oh my God. And fast too, right? It was like over a month, over 2 months.
Yeah. I think at the,
that's scary.
The main part of it, I think I lost that 15 of it over the course of 2 weeks, which is pretty wild.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
That's
it was
scary.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I
can see why Chelsea was like, you're going to the doctor right now.
Yeah. So yeah, the medications and things, we were able to stick with things that were very, very low friction.
Good.
Yeah. Non-invasive, went with some light stuff, and, I still take the mesalamine for, I ran out of my prescription because I was out of town.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't take it for 2 days, and I didn't see a massive change in my body.
Okay.
So that was good. And then coming back, I was taking 4 pills. Now I, take 2.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
I would say the change back to feeling really good has been it's been great. And, I'm very glad that I went through it and realize that there is a very extremely manageable side of this to where I don't have to be extremely detail oriented about things. And I'm glad about that. And even if I did have to change 1 or 2 things extremely in my days, so be it. It is what it is, but
it's worth it.
It's worth it. But the fact that I'm here and I didn't have to change anything excessively is an incredible blessing for my life,
100%. And I'm so proud of you to hear that outlook, because I think a lot of people still within that, you're 6 months, not even 6 months into this diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people in this place would just be still in kind of an angry bucket. And I think when we get diagnosed or start getting symptoms, you kind of go through this grief curve. And I don't know if it's, your childhood resilience, being an athlete, what is it about you that has allowed you to kind of move through that with such grace? But it's incredible to hear your attitude and just peace, I think, with it all.
Yeah, very grateful. I think there's a lot of components that play into it, but I do have to say, I think there's one thing that really, really applies to my life and everything that I do. It's just the journey of where I was and where I am now. And I just couldn't feel more blessed. I was born in Ghana in a situation where I lived in a house where, me and my siblings, there were four of us total, slept in two beds, and we lived in a house with no indoor plumbing, so we'd have to like walk half a mile to use the bathroom in some field somewhere. So we came from literally nothing, and like I sit in this room. Yeah, I sit in this room with like incredibly nice sneakers behind me. Like, what can I complain about? What can I complain about?
I think that you're hitting the nail on the head. Like, it's gratitude, and that kind of transcends any life journey. I think it's like that perspective and lens that anything that you are challenged with, you can still see this like beauty in life, that there's this worthiness in life to be there and continue onward and forward. So I'm so tickled to hear you talk about all of this and sharing your journey and your mind and spirit with us. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I appreciate the conversation and the willingness to allow me to talk a bit and share my journey.
Well, I'm excited that you have. I have found, and this might be because my Instagram algorithm just like mostly shows me other women going through chronic illness, but I don't think that men talk about chronic illness as much. And I'm just really grateful that there's people like you that have opened up the door for that conversation where it's okay to, actually chat about symptoms or how you're feeling emotionally within your friend groups or social circles or online. And that opens a conversation, I think, for a lot of growth and improvement in the space. Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I think I agree with you. There's not a lot of guys talking about it. It's just not I hate to generalize, but, we do have certain traits as men, and as women have certain traits that can feel universal. And I feel like one trait that's pretty reoccurring in men is the desire to kind of just, maybe not withhold, but suppress.
I think so. And just like keep it calm.
Yeah. Keep it calm. We're just like, we don't like the drama. We don't like and we assume that anytime that it's something that has to massively change either ours or the lives around us, that we are causing some kind of disruption, when in actuality, we're being some kind of burden, when in actuality, like the long term of it, and especially not sharing it and hoping that someone else benefits from it, could end up being a long-term burden to everyone.
100%. I mean, just think about it. It's 1 in 3 people in the entire world have a chronic illness. It's a lot of people. And so to have this population where, I don't know, women in our friend groups will talk about, I've got awful PMS, I've got awful cramps. We share these like hardships that we have because we don't see them as burdens in conversation. Yeah. Whereas I think, and this is very much generalizing, but I think men do see that as like, I don't want to put that burden on someone unnecessarily. Why would I do that? So I'm glad that you are doing this, because someone could listen to your story and hear that and say, oh, I've been losing weight kind of fast too, actually. I've been having these really intense stomach pains. Maybe I should go see a doctor. Yeah. Well, when you're looking at the next year, and I know that things are under kind of control and wraps now, and you're getting to have relief finally, do you have any like concerns about the other shoe dropping, or like where's your headspace right now in regards to living with a chronic illness?
I think it's in a pretty positive space because of the degree at which I'm dealing with it at, and I think that that's the big positive. I think that going through it, it feels really manageable and light right now. And that's the real big blessing out of everything. And I know that not everybody gets an opportunity to kind of share this sentiment. And, if people are in more difficult situations, I really hope and pray and wish for them that things lighten up or feel better, or there's a path towards them, actually feeling remission. Yeah. And so, I am blessed to have this situation where I figured out what worked for me and for my body, and I'm just sticking to it, and I'm going to stick to it for as long as I possibly can. And I remember my doctor, my GI, saying, hey, like, if you have to take one of these pills for the rest of your life, so be it. Like, it is what it is. Not the end of the day. It's not, like, it's okay. And so, things have not been a massive change in my life. And so I got to be grateful for that. I can't complain about it. And I'm just going to do what I have to do until I can't do it anymore.
I love hearing that. And I'm like, yes, continue onwards, because when you do get these remission periods, and I don't know if I've shared so much about what my journey's been like, but I've had a couple remission-like periods, and I'm just always so happy that I indulged in them and lived them fully and took advantage of that time period in my life, because they can last as long as a decade. They can last forever. They can also last as short as a month. And so if you don't give yourself over to that beauty in life because you're living in fear of what could happen, I think it makes our worlds really small. So I'm so happy that you're living big and living large and enjoying it every day.
For sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been great.
Good. Well, to wrap my show, I love talking about the opposite of this, which is like when we do have our down days or do have super amounts of fatigue and wake up in the morning and go, today's going to be a duvet day and rest. I don't know if you know what a duvet day is. That could be an Alexism. It is you get up, you change, you put your clean PJs on, clean sheets, get right back in your bed, favorite snacks, put on a television show, and you just like binge watch Netflix for 12 hours.
Yeah.
What is your go-to one brain cell show? Meaning not that it's stupid, but like it's your comfort show.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. If it was one brain cell, because that's very different from otherwise. I actually just last night just started my list of favorite shows, and I have 5 shows on there.
Well, share all of them. I am a TV movie girl, so yes, please.
Yeah. I'm a big TV like nerd. So I watch all different categories. And so on this list is just about every single type of category.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I wrote this at dinner at my birthday dinner. So
this is very kismet. I love that.
Yeah. Right. And so The Office.
Wonderful. Great one brain cell show.
Yeah. I've seen it 3 times through.
Do you have a favorite character in The Office?
It's Michael Scott.
Yeah, I mean, how could it not be? He's just so funny.
He's so funny. I mean, the season when he left, like, the humor went downhill.
Agreed.
Yeah.
He's awesome. And
yeah,
like the way that cast also interacts with each other, the bloopers out of that show could be their entirely own show, and I would watch it time and time again. 100%.
And yeah, I'll give an honorable mention to, I feel like, a character that gets overlooked for their humor a lot is Pam.
Yes, fully agree. The two of them are just like a yin yang, complete each other. Boom, the humor that each of them bring to the table.
Yes, the dynamic of the secretary and the boss, and like she does these like little jabs all the time. They're so good.
So good. It like doesn't put up with his bullshit. It's iconic.
Yeah, for sure. And then on HBO there's a show called The Newsroom.
I haven't watched this one yet.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I used to watch it shortly after college. I think this was like 2015, 2014. Okay. Maybe even earlier, like 2013, but it's Jeff I forget his name.
Goldblum?
No, I don't think it's Jeff Goldblum. I know, I almost said that. It's Jeff something.
Okay.
He's the opposite of Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber.
Got it. Okay, I know who you're talking about. Also can't think of his name, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. And he delivers the absolute best monologue I've ever seen in any movie, TV show, or anything ever.
Okay.
Yeah, a girl asks him on stage. He's doing a panel, and he's at a college, and one of the college students asks him, "Why do you think America is the best country in the world?" And you've probably seen the clip somewhere by itself, but he talks about why he doesn't think America is the greatest country in the world.
Ooh,
and it is so good. But yeah, I mean, the entire dialogue, all the dialogue in that show is very, very much like that. Very witty, very intelligent. Like the facts, the learnings, the interests, like everything is so spot on. So they do it really well. And it's written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, who's I would say
love.
Yeah. He's
TV
my
legend.
favorite. Yeah. For sure. So The Newsroom.
Okay.
And then I watch anime. I'm an anime nerd.
So is my husband. He loves it.
Okay, perfect. So there's a few, but if I was to, give the one that I feel like is my number one is a show called Death Note.
Okay.
Yeah. It's about.
What's that one about?
So it's about a guy who he's like the highest test scorer in Japan, super intelligent. His dad's a cop. His goal is to graduate, go into the academy, and become like the number one like FBI, their version of FBI agent ever, and just solve all the crimes. He's got a really
Love the
pure heart.
storyline. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a really
Ooh.
pure heart. And then a notebook drops in front of him, out of the sky.
Okay.
Yeah, and he opens it, and the first words are, "Whoever's name is written in this notebook will die," right? And it's called the Death Note. And so,
I'm like on the edge of my seat right now. I have to go watch this after this.
yeah. Don't watch the American adaptation that Netflix made.
Okay.
Make sure you watch the Japanese cartoon anime, right?
Do you have a spot where you have found it to watch?
It's on Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's on
Excellent.
Netflix as well. Yeah.
okay. Perfect.
But when they brought it on Netflix, America made their own like live action, and it was just really corny.
Well, nothing can be as good as the originals, you know. And whenever there's a remake, it's especially something so like iconically good or has a cult like following, it's just not gonna hold up.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And it just like, I really love things that go deep. That's why when you said like dead brain cell ones, I definitely love some reality TV. Like, I mean, hey, I'm a product of it.
I was going to ask you, do you watch reality TV? Being a reality TV star?
Yeah, I do. I didn't used to. I do now that I'm in the reality TV world, especially because you meet a lot of people in the reality TV world and you like want to know who you're talking to. Like,
That's
I'm
fair.
on like, yeah, I do Netflix events with a bunch of other Netflix reality people, and I'm like, all right, now I have to like know about your show.
Yeah. Do you have to do your research and prep for those meetings?
Exactly. So yeah, but Death Note, definitely.
Okay.
Just the beautiful story about how absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's incredible.
Okay, this sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
I say one brain cell shows, but really it's like what has you so hooked that you're not thinking about your symptoms or your pain. So this is...
Yeah.
You're crushing 100%. It right now with your list.
And then the last two, I think are, cult favorites. Game of Thrones.
So good. So good.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Chelsea's never seen it. So yeah, I told her if she ever just has like a week to kill, we're probably going to just run through it.
I mean, if you, God forbid, if you ever have a flare up again, I think that's a really good opportunity for you guys to just like have a vacation week and watch every single episode ever.
Oh, 100%. And then this is the newest entry on that list. It is White Lotus.
So good. Are you starting from season 1 or season 3?
So I just started season 1 last week.
Okay. It's chaotic, but it's so good.
Yes. And I think season 2 is the best one. I'm caught up on season 3. Yeah, I'm caught up on season 3. I have one more episode to go. But without a doubt, season 2 was cinema.
Right?
Yeah.
Literally everything about it. Like the little Easter eggs that they put in that show.
Yes. It's so funny because Chelsea, we watched season 1 together. She was like, I don't know if I want to keep watching this show.
Fair. Season 1 is like so crazy.
It's a lot. It's like you're rolling the whole time. And so...
That's very accurate.
So she goes to Spokane, Washington to visit her friend for a weekend. So I run through season 2 and then I text her immediately. I'm like, all right, you got to watch season 2. Mm-hmm. And so I finish it all the way through. We start it together again. And then I start looking at all the Easter eggs and I'm like, whoa, there's so much stuff here. So yeah, White Lotus is incredible. But yeah, that's my list of 5 shows right now. I got to add to it, but...
Great shows. I'm very excited about this list. I'm going to dive into some of them. If you need one, my new favorite obsession right now is The Residence on Netflix.
I just saw a preview. No, so I just saw a preview of it just yesterday.
It's so good.
Yeah. And yeah, someone was like, this is the best show, so I'm going to watch it.
It's kind of, it's giving whodunit, murder mystery vibes, but the cast is so excellent. The acting, the storyline is phenomenal.
Okay.
I still can't figure out who's done it, and I'm 6 episodes in out of the 8.
Okay.
And I usually can guess by like episode 2 or 3. I'm like, not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty good at guessing who's done it. I've watched a lot of murder mysteries.
Yeah.
I'm stumped, and I love that.
Okay. All right, excellent.
So
I'm excited to watch it. I love murder mysteries. Like
me too. Okay,
yeah,
we got a little thread. I got some shows then.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen Knives Out already. Then
excellent. So this is kind of Knives Out vibes, I would say.
Okay.
Where it's like very, you can just sit and watch the entire thing, and you are laughing and crying and anxious and excited all at the same time.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we got to do movies. Oh, also, if you've ever seen The Prestige.
one of my all-time favorite movies ever. Okay. So good. Holy cow. Wow, we're dropping some great picks in this week's
We are. If we ever like just have sick days, man, we can just let's just
You know it. We're gonna have a whole like community duvet day watching only murder mysteries.
Oh man.
Everyone has to put their bets in, coffee bets on who's done the murder. I'm seeing a very exciting event in the future.
Oh man.
Well, Kwame, I'm so excited that we got to chat today. This has been absolutely lovely. You are a charm of a human being, and I'm sorry you're in this community, but I'm awfully glad to have someone like you in it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the time and the space to have this conversation. And I think it's something very serious, but having moments where we can make light of it and be able to share it with each other and say, hey, we're all in this together. I think that those are really cool moments.
I think so too. We're in it together, and one foot after another, we'll pull each other through. We will get through it.
Yes, we will.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining for another week of Calling in Sick, and I will catch you next week. Love you guys. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of Calling in Sick. As a reminder, I would love for y'all to like, follow, subscribe, save, share with a friend, do all of the things. It truly, truly helps grow this community, and it helps these episodes reach the people that need them the most, whether that's for an educational piece, to have a little laugh, or to not feel so alone. As a reminder, Calling in Sick sits on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and anywhere else where you can find your listens. From the bottom of my heart, I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for calling in sick with me every Monday. It's been an honor and a pleasure so far, and I can't wait to continue building this community with y'all. Love you.